can we take a moment and talk about that? Because why wasn't I academically inclined? It's not because I was dumb. It's not because I was incapable. It was because I was underrepresented. I never knew that Black people could be scholars. I had no idea. And I know that might sound crazy. And you might say, oh, well, there's plenty of Black scholars out here in the world. Yes, but they did not exist in my world. Black scholars did not exist in my microcosm in which I was shaped, in which I was nurtured. When I looked around me, I saw Black drug dealers. When I looked around me, I saw Black basketball players. When I looked around me, I saw Black gang members. Here's what we have to understand. None of us choose the circumstances in which we are born. I don't care if you are poor. I don't care if you're middle class. I don't care if you're privileged. None of us had that choice. None of us. We are all born into circumstances that we don't choose, and they shape us in ways that construct the identity and the way that we see ourselves. So for me, when I thought about the idea of a scholar, I didn't want to be that. You go to the streets right now and ask anybody, what do they see in their minds when they hear the word scholar? I guarantee you, most of them will say probably an old white man with gray hair and glasses. If you go to the hood and you say, hey, do you want to be a scholar? Please excuse my language. Most of them are going to say, hell no, I don't want to be no scholar. Why? Because they never saw a scholar that looked like them. They weren't in our neighborhoods. They weren't in our textbooks. And that's a whole nother conversation. We don't even have time for that one. But when we look at American education, we have been largely disenfranchised because we have been significantly underrepresented. And so what happens is our American education, our schools become centers of indoctrination. What do they indoctrinate us about? Our inferiority. It tells me that the only history to have pride in is white history, because anytime they talk about Black history, it's painting an image of Africa as if the only thing that exists there is poverty. And so I never saw anything that Black people, that me as a Black person, that I could be proud of. And so I never aspired to be a scholar, because representation is the lens through which we aspire. Representation is the lens through which we dream. And so when I looked through that lens, I saw the people who looked like me. And I saw Allen Iverson. He had cornrows and he had baggy jeans. He looked like me. I saw Stephon Marbury. He had tattoos and he wore the same clothes as me. I saw Latrell Sprewell, and he looked and walked and talked like me. And so that representation told me what I had the potential to become, because people can't be what they can't see. And so for me, whatever was in my peripheral, whatever was in my scope, is what I dreamed to become. And a scholar was not one of them. And so here I am now in school, and I don't want to be there. This ain't a place for me. Everybody's talking funny, using weird words. Nobody looks like me. Nobody talks like me. And so I said, to hell with this. I don't want to be here. I dropped out, went back home, and I spent the next 2 years of my life in a factory.